Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing well and staying safe and healthy and still washing your hands. I am so excited to show you what I'm about to show you because it is hands down, no lie, one of the coolest pieces of gear I've ever laid my hands on. This. This is the new XF 50mm 1.0 lens made by Fuji, and it is a portrait photographer's dream lens, and I would not say that if I didn't mean it. Look at that thing. Have you ever seen a 50mm lens be so tall? So I have owned a 50mm 1.2 lens made by Canon for quite a few years now, and it has stood the test of time and remained my favorite lens that I own. Seeing as 1.0 lenses are not only rare but extremely expensive historically, this 1.2 is the widest aperture that I've ever experienced as a photographer until now. This thing will make for your best portraits ever, seeing as the bokeh this lens will produce is absolutely out of this world. If you're somebody who still doesn't completely understand what the word bokeh means, first of all, you're not alone. It took me quite a while to really understand what it is, and so let me help you out. Bokeh actually comes from the Japanese word that means blur. So to put it simply, bokeh basically refers to the quality of the out of focus parts in your image that is rendered by the lens itself and not the camera body. That of course means that every single lens is going to produce a different kind of bokeh. The best bokeh is going to of course be pleasing to the eye, and ideally it should be soft and creamy with no hard edges anywhere and with soft, smooth circles of light. Bokeh is completely dependent on your aperture, or in other words, your f-stop. That is what makes this Fuji lens so dang special. Because it can shoot wide open at f1, that means that you're getting more bokeh. So to put it simply, the smaller your aperture number is, the more bokeh you will get. So it is no mystery why Fuji is calling this lens the bokeh master, and that's a really big claim, so I of course need to go test it out and take some test shots. Let me hit you with a shot that I took at f1. This will show you exactly why Fuji is calling this thing the master of bokeh. Look at that background. It is as smooth as butter, and the circles of light are about as beautiful as I have ever seen. Take a look at the in-focus parts of the image too. This lens gives you bokeh from the heavens without compromising on sharpness. It can be really challenging to shoot at such a wide aperture and to get what you want in focus because you're dealing with such extremes of blurriness and sharpness. Well, this lens had absolutely no problem producing insane results. The focus is precise and sharp as hell. You really can't ask for more. There have been so many occasions where I want to shoot wide open because I love the look of it, but I end up with a generally very soft image, especially in low light. So while I was with Caro and the sun had been behind the mountains for quite some time now, we were in a very good low light situation, and I wanted to see how the lens held up then. And sure enough, this lens changed the game there too. Typically, portraits are shot with an aperture ranging somewhere between f4 all the way to f1 if you're lucky. Some of the more popular choices are f2, f1.8, f1.4, and like I said, if you're lucky enough and your lens can do it, you are going to get wild results with f1.2 and f1. So let me show you though just how different these apertures look in the end result. You'll see that f4 looks great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but the background isn't totally blurry, which means your eye is going to get distracted from your subject more than it is when you're shooting at, say, 2.8. Here at 2.8, your subject is much more prominent. Then you take it a step further to say 1.4, and the difference between your subject and the background is much more extreme, leading your eye to your subject even more. And then you go all the way to 1, and you've got yourself a tack-sharp subject and a background that nearly disappears behind it. From a tactical standpoint, shooting with this lens was kind of dreamy. Typically, changing your aperture on your camera is some sort of mechanism on the actual camera body. For example, a dial up top here somewhere. This lens is completely different. It's actually a ring right on the lens. Here's the focus ring, and here is the aperture ring. It feels so good to turn this thing. I wish you could all feel this, but I will let you listen because each stop, which it has hard stops, makes this little clicking sound. Listen. I can't even tell you how good that feels.
Okay, give me like right towards me. Yep, just like that. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
But it's absolute.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
But it's absolute.
Alrighty. Here we go. 4, 2, 1.4, 1.
But it's absolute.
I'm very excited to tell you that we are actually selling this lens and it is available for pre-order on our site today. Even better news is it's going for a whopping $1,500. Now, some of you probably just gasped because that is a very, very steep price for a lens, and I realize that. But let me give you some perspective. The Canon 50mm 1.0 is going for $2,800 used on eBay right now. Fuji completely outdid themselves with this lens. From the amazing price point to the high quality end result in your images, and just from a tactical standpoint, how this lens feels in your hand is just so satisfying and so pleasing. I have nothing bad to say about it. I hope that you portrait photographers watching this have an opportunity to shoot with this lens. Even if you rent it for 2 hours, it will be worth it. Every single penny, every minute of your time will be worth it. And be sure to go check it out on our site if you're interested in purchasing it. And happy shooting. See you in the next one.